Yes, guys, I was someone's girlfriend. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Tlacho's World. And I haven't had time to actually write any scripts or anything, or any comedy script. So in this video, this is not a comedy skit. This is more of a story time, story of my life type of thing. And today's video is about my first love. Story of my awkward life. And before we head on to the video, I just want you guys to be loyal to me and, like, comment, subscribe, and guys, tune in. Like, come on, I love the interaction, and it would really be great hearing from people who watch me what they like and what they don't like. So moving on today's video. Now, long time ago, before I knew I was a queen, I would describe myself as a DUTF. Now, what is a DUTF, you ask? You know the movie DUFF, right? Designated Ugly Fat Friend. Now, a DUTF is a designated ugly thin friend. Now, I know, right? You guys are just like, wait a minute, Lacho. I understand designated ugly friend, but what does thin have to do? Now, let me tell you something about thin. Long time ago, I was a teenager, right? And I was thin. Like, I was thin. Now I don't know if I've got much, I don't know, but I've gained a little bit of weight compared to back in the day, but I was really thin. So I was thin. I was a thin girl, right? And I live in South Africa, right? In other words, I live basically on the African continent. And guess what? In Africa, when you're thin, you're not really considered as more desirable. When you're fat, that's when you're more desirable. As a matter of fact, in the past, there was this thing, whereas when you were, especially here in South Africa, there was a thing, I don't know about other African countries, the fatter you were, the richer you were. So I was awkward. I was like what you might call the awkward kid. I did not have the best hair. First of all, my hair was always natural, and my hair is a 4C type of hair, 4C, 4B type of hair. In my time, natural hair wasn't really a big thing the way it is now. Like a lot of people loved relaxing their hair. I never relaxed my hair, not really because I never wanted to relax my hair. I never relaxed my hair because my mom never liked relaxed hair. Period. Like, my mom did not like relaxed hair, so she would leave my hair as it was and would tell me that I'm beautiful with the hair like that, and I had to walk in public with my hair like that. And people would keep asking me, when am I going to relax my hair? When am I going to braid my hair? People ask me all these questions, and it made me feel inferior. And not only that, but if it wasn't about my hair, people would be like, oh my gosh, you're so thin, shame, man, like, do you eat? People used to just say a lot of funny things to me when I was a kid, okay? And I feel like as a teenager, I really took them to heart because I was still young and I was still kind of dumb. But anyways, the story is about me being a DUTF and my first love. Now, this is how the story is going to start. So I'm going to call my first love's name will be Pinhead. And I'm going to call this other friend of mine, I'm going to call her Mrs. Ironic. And Pinhead's sister, I'll call her Pink. And then I had another friend, and we'll call the other friend Cutie Pie. So it was Pinhead's sister Pink, it was one friend called Cutie Pie, and it was another friend called Mrs. Ironic. Okay, so what we have here is that one day I was hanging out with Cutie Pie and Pink, right? And I knew I was more closer with Cutie Pie because I'd known Cutie Pie longer, and Pink and I were not really that close, so I didn't really know much about Pink. So one day Pink, I was chilling with Pink, and then Pinhead came, right? And Pink is like, oh, this is my brother Pinhead. And I looked, and guys, when I first saw Pinhead, was handsome. Woo! Pinhead was hot. not only was Pinhead hot, but Pinhead was funny. Like, he was talking to us, cracking all these jokes, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And because I watched a lot of movies back in the day, especially a lot of romantic movies, I thought that for today, the ideal guy is the funny, cute guy, which is really messed up, okay? That's what I thought. I thought like the ideal guy today was the cute, funny guy. So he was funny, and he was just making jokes, and and it just ended off there. And I just thought Pinhead was adorable, like, but I didn't want to tell Cutie Pie, his sister, because I was just like, I don't want him to know. And because I knew that I was a DUTF, I knew that I wasn't the cool girl, so I was just like, I didn't want him to know, because he would be like, oh my gosh, like a DUTF likes me. And I really didn't want to make a move or anything. I just wanted to admire him from afar, because I thought it was safer, right? And then so I was going crazy over Pinhead, and then one day I was chilling with Mrs. Ironic and Cutie Pie. Now Pink was not there. So while I'm chilling with Mrs. Ironic and Cutie Pie, Mrs. Ironic told me and Cutie Pie that she has a crush on Pinhead's friend, right? And then the whole crush conversation came through. Who do you have a crush on type of conversations, where us girls are just chilling, then out of nowhere we just talking about the guys that we all have crushes on. So while we were talking about our crushes, I would confess that I had a crush on Pinhead. Cutie Pie and Mrs. Ironic were like, wow, really? So Mrs. Ironic was like, oh, okay, but I think Pinhead is ugly. But I thought he was handsome. I thought he was something big. I don't know why. I never saw him as ugly. And what's strange is, even now as an adult, I see him sometimes, and to be honest, he is not an ugly guy. Like, I don't know why. Maybe I'm just genuinely attracted to him, but I never saw him as ugly, never once in my life. But Mrs. Ironic was over here like, Pinhead is ugly, Pinhead is ugly, Pinhead is ugly. And it was all chill, because I didn't care, because at the end of the day, I have a crush on Pinhead, not you. So if you find him ugly, that's actually a good thing, because that means us as girls, we won't fight over him. A couple of months passed. Oh, Mrs. Ironic, Cutie Pie, and Pink, one day we were hanging out together, right? The whole crush topic came up. I don't know why, we're just chilling and we just talking about boys. And it happened that we just gonna talk about our crushes, right? And then Mrs. Ironic, oh, I have a crush on Pinhead's friend, right? And then they asked Cutie Pie who was her crush, and Pink confessed who's her crush, and then they came down to me. And here's the thing, I don't want to mention my crush, because I was like, oh my goodness, if Pink knows who my crush is, she's definitely gonna go to my crush and fucking tell him. So I was like, guys, I can't say it. And Mrs. Ironic just looks at me like, why? And Cutie Pie is like, come on girl, like, if you just say it, probably Pink will hook you up. And Pink looks up and is like, I would hook her up? How the heck would I hook her up? And then like they just said, like, I forgot between if it was Cutie Pie or it was between Cutie Pie and Mrs. Ironic, who had said she has a crush on your brother, basically. So they just told Pink, and then I was like, whoa guys, whoa, and I was like, whoa guys, whoa, and I was like, okay, fine Pink, I have a crush on your brother, and I confessed it. And then she is like, you know what, I'm going to tell him. And I'm like, no, you can't tell him. And my friends are like, but look, if he knows you like him, then he'll probably come around. You just never know, you could get lucky. But because I knew who I was, guys, I knew I was not the cool girl. I knew I was not the girl that can get any guy. I was just like, I don't think you should tell him. Yeah, I just didn't want him to know, because I knew where I fell. And they were like, no girl, don't be like that. Cool. So after a week had passed, and one day I was coming from church. And guys, let me tell you something about me being a DUTF. I used to also dress bad. I used to dress horrible. If you thought I was dressed bad right now, let me tell you something. When I was a DUTF, Nothing was cute, baby. My dress code wasn't cute. My hair, nothing was cute. Okay, so I came from church and I was dressed as this awkward geeky girl that's just going to church. I was coming from church with Mrs. Ironic. At that day, I don't remember what was Cutie Pie, but Cutie Pie was not there that day. So Mrs. Ironic and I, we were walking. We met up with Pink, and Pink is like, I told my brother about you. And I'm like, shit. And she's like, yeah, and he wants to talk to you. Pinhead wanted to talk to the DUTF. I was like, okay, fine. If he wants to talk to me, then we can totally talk. I mean, like, why wouldn't I want to talk to Pinhead? I thought Pink was joking, and because I didn't think he would want to talk to me. And then we went to Pink's house. While we're at Pink's house, Pinhead and his friend come out of the house, right? And then they're making jokes as usual and whatever. And then I realized that that Mrs. Ironic is laughing at his jokes, right? But there's nothing wrong with laughing at people's jokes. But then she's laughing like, oh my gosh, Pinhead! And I'm like, now at that time I didn't know how to interpret it, but I felt like something was wrong. I felt like she was laughing as in like the flirtful laugh of I'm interested in you type of laugh. But at that time I wasn't really sure because I had never dated in my life. So when it came to like flirting and flirting and people trying to make moves, I wasn't still clear on that, and I couldn't like interpret things the way someone who had dated for 17 years could interpret, right? But at that moment something was juicy and I just brushed it off, even though I could see the way she was laughing at his jokes and be like, oh my gosh. I was just like, okay, boo, why are you doing this for the ugly guy though? And another thing is that I always had that thing of like, she had said to me that he's ugly. She just doesn't, she's not attracted to him. So that is what like got me more secure, you know? So then he's like, after he's done cracking his jokes and doing whatever, he's like, can I please take a picture with you, then talk to you? This guy wants to take a picture with me and wants to talk to me. Hi. He wants to talk to... Guys, never mind the talking part. He wants to take a picture with me. And it was still, and guys, not only that, but it was still the times when we still had those little Kodak cameras, those ones that you take the picture and then you take it to the Kodak store and you can't reuse the camera. I forgot what was it called, but you couldn't reuse that camera. You had to use it for a certain amount of days, take pictures and then send it to Kodak, and Kodak would like print out the pictures. Those type of cameras, those type of days, I'm that old. He wanted to take a picture with the DUTF. And so, as the DUTF, I took a picture with him, and then we started talking. We were on to the side, and you know, like everyone was just going their own way. Then we took a walk, and then he told me that I heard that you like me, and I'm like, yeah, I do. But okay, I wasn't that weird, but of course I was like, yeah, I do like you. Like I was straightforward, honest, and I was like, yeah, I do like you. And then he's like, okay, so I know that now that I know that you like me, why didn't you just say that you like me? Is this nigga crazy? Did he just ask me like, why did I not tell him that I like him? I'm a DUTF, why would I do that? And then he was like, well, you should have told me because, you know, I like you too. And I'm like, really? And at that moment, guys, it felt so good to be true. But I was like, let me just spare the moment and stop thinking so negatively about myself. And I was like, you do? And he's like, yeah. And you know, we took a stroll and we were talking, and like, wow, I really didn't think that, you know, like a guy would ever like me back at that point. And when he just said he liked me back, I was just like, in my brain, I was just like, you know what? It's not about what I'm thinking. It's more about what's happening. So that's how I took it. And then we came from our walk, and then we bumped into Mrs. Ironic, right? And then he starts cracking jokes again, and Mrs. Ironic starts acting funny again, like that flirtatious laugh, right? And then he looks at her with this look of like he's attracted to her or something. Because he had told me he liked me back, I took the clarification that, okay, maybe he's just looking at her like that because, you know, everybody can look at a person and he's just looking at her like that. But then at the end of the day, he likes me. That's how I took it. And because I would say I had a secure attachment relationship style at the time, so I never really, if somebody told me they liked me, I took it as, okay, they like me. I never took it as, what if they're lying? What if this? No. Although somewhere deep in my mind, it just felt too good to be true, but I let it go. Me and Pinhead barely hanged out that much, right? So one day I saw, I was with Mrs. Ironic and we saw Pinhead, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's Pinhead. And he called me, and then Mrs. Ironic is like, okay, I'm gonna disappear and you're just gonna sit by the rock so that he sees you. And then I sat by the rock, and then when I sat by the rock, he saw me, and then he says hi, and we stop and we talk, and then he's like, where's Mrs. Ironic? And I'm like, huh? And he's like, no, like, I just wanted to greet her. So because she's my friend, and well, he wanted to greet her, so it's like, okay, fine, she's not here right now, because Mrs. Ironic just disappeared. Like, she just left me there by the rock so that he would see me, and then we would bounce off. And then I bounced off with Pinhead, had a conversation, didn't even last for that long. I think it was just like a 20-minute conversation, and then I just went home. Like, ugh. Anywho, so whenever I'd see him, it would be like a fast, like, we'd take walks, but like walks would be so fast, and yeah, it was weird. It didn't really feel, if I felt like something was off, but you know, I couldn't pick it up. Like, something was wrong with this guy, you know. And him asking me about Mrs. Ironic was always like, it used to annoy me, but I'd like brush it off, you know. And Mrs. Ironic, to be honest, she was nothing close to being a DUTF. She was pretty. She has booty. She has breasts. She was basically like a beautiful girl in a South African term. Like, she is a beautiful girl. I won't lie. I'm not gonna say she's ugly or whatever. Mrs. Ironic was very pretty. She was prettier than me. Like, if I could say at that time, I would say that. Now I'm just like, yeah, she was pretty. So one day, I was chilling with Mrs. Ironic, and she was with this girl, I'll call her Sunshine. And we were chilling with this girl, Sunshine. And Sunshine was from the same school as me. So Mrs. Ironic was in another school, I was in another school. And Sunshine was basically like a friend from my school, and she was friends with Mrs. Ironic. And Mrs. Ironic is like, hey, did you know that Tlaho has a boyfriend? And I'm like, what boyfriend, you know? And she's like, you guys have been hanging together. He likes you. You like him. So obviously you're the girlfriend. If you're not the girlfriend, then it's complicated. And I was like, come to think of it, actually. And so, plus he himself, he did kind of say that, like, I'm his person, like umotwaka, you know, umotwaka in my language. So, because he had said that, then it is what it is. I was officially someone's girlfriend. The DUTF was a girlfriend. I was someone's girlfriend, and it was very unbelievable. I felt like I had qualified. You know, I felt like Patrick Starr when he had won the award and he had never won an award before. I never got an award before. I felt like that. Because look, if I was the DUTF, I mean, the DUTF having a boyfriend, and a hot one, and a funny one too, yeah, and that was that. And Sunshine was very happy of me. So on that day we were hanging out. We went to my house, and I forgot what I wanted from my room, or if I needed to use the bathroom. I just forgot, right? And so I went to my house to go get whatever, and I come outside, and Mrs. Ironic and Sunshine are not there. So I couldn't find Mrs. Ironic or Sunshine anyway. I had just gotten out of the house and they were nowhere to be found. So that time, it was still the times when we were still using Mixit, right? Yes, I'm that old. I had Mrs. Ironic on Mixit, and I was like, okay, I'll just text Mrs. Ironic and ask her where she is. Although she was offline, I didn't really care much, so I just asked her where she was, and well, she had not been online since. So I went about my own business because I could not find them anyway. And then she gets back, and then Miss Ironic gets back to me and says, oh, sorry, we left you. What happened was that her crush passed by and asked them to go hang out with them, and they just left. So I was just like, okay, whatever. And I didn't really care because her crush was asking her to hang out with her, and like I was just like, well, she deserves to spend time with her crush, whatever. And so then she says, but I've got some news for you. I've got some bad news for you. And I'm like, what's up? And she's like, while we're hanging out with her crush, Pinhead came over, and he was cozy with some girl. And I was like, what? And like, yes, he's cheating. So I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get rid of him. And I was hurt, and I was like, oh my gosh, he was cozy with some girl, da 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 da, and you name it. So the next morning I'm on my way to school, and I went to school with transport. I used transport to go to school. I'll just call it kind of like a mini school bus. So Sunshine and I, because we were in the same school, and we didn't live in the same neighborhood, but our neighborhoods are very close by. So our neighborhoods were very close by. So her school bus would come through our neighborhood and then go to her neighborhood. So her school bus came this side, and then they picked me up. And then Miss Sunshine is like, hey, what's up? I'm like, I'm good. And it's like, well, I got some bad news for you. And I'm like, what's up? And she's like, well, I met Pinhead. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you met him? Like, what do you think? And she's like, I don't like him, And I'm like, yeah, I heard what happened. I know he was cozy with another girl. And she's like, seriously, you're taking that story? And I'm like, that's what I was told. Last night, that's what I was told on Mixit. And she's like, no, that's not what happened. I'm like, what happened? And then she's like, no. So first of all, I'm gonna just say that Pinhead was a bit of a bad boy. So while we were teenagers, he was drinking. He was drinking alcohol while we were teenagers. So he started drinking earlier than me as well. So Sunshine said to me, Mrs. Ironic's crush came over. So they left, and then Pinhead appeared, and he was drunk, he was sloshed. And he said, and then the topic of me came up, right? And but somebody called out my name. I don't know, but my name just came out of nowhere. It's like my name just invisibly appeared out of nowhere, right? So since my name appeared out of nowhere, Pinhead is like, oh my gosh, she's such a Barbie doll. Why would I date a Barbie doll? And not only that, but I'm just dating her because I'm doing her a favor because she likes me. Really? And when he said that he's doing me a favor, then Sunshine says that he went to Mrs. Ironic. And when he went to Mrs. Ironic, he starts asking her out and tell her she's pretty and whatever, So that afternoon when I came from school, I went to Mrs. Ironic and I asked her, bro, seriously, why you guys, what's going on? Because I'm hearing this story. I'm hearing that he was hitting on you, and you're telling me that he was with another girl. What's going on, And she's like, okay, fine. We were not supposed to tell you the truth. We were going to keep the truth away from you because we didn't want to hurt you. Listen, you didn't want to hurt me? And you thought a lie is not going to hurt me? And then she's like, the truth is this is what actually happened. So my crush, so Mrs. Ironic is like, my crush called me so that we can go hang out with them. And then while we're hanging out with them, Pinhead appears, right? And then when Pinhead appears, he is drunk, sloshed. He said that I'm a Barbie doll, and then my name came out of nowhere, and he said that he wouldn't date a Barbie doll. That he's doing me a favor by dating me. That's what he said. Ironic said that he went to her, he asked her out. Only when we Tlaho will dump me. You must tell Tlaho that you saw me cozy with another girl. That's what he said. She must tell me. And I cannot believe that she told me that. Like, couldn't she have just told me the truth of what had happened? So she's like, the reason why she told me, and he said that you can't tell her what really happened because this will really hurt her. And so that is why over the phone she said to me, he was cozy with another girl, and she did not tell me the straightforward truth. And I'm hurt, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I want to get rid of him, and I'm angry and I'm raging. And she's like, okay, you can dump him, but you can't dump him when you're angry. And not only can you not dump him when you're angry, but you can't tell him what happened and what we said. And I'm like, sorry, what? Yeah, you can't tell him. You can just dump. So I'm just gonna get there and like just dump him. I want him to know what happened. She's like, no. And because at the time it was still my first love, it was still my first breakup, I didn't know how to break up with a freaking boy. The next day, it was a Friday, right? And I was with Cutie Pie, and I told Cutie Pie what had happened. And Cutie Pie was like, okay, you're gonna dump him? I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna dump him. She's like, are you gonna at least tell him what he did? And I'm like, I guess not, because I'm too angry, and if I don't want to look like a ball of anger while I dump him. And then that day he came to me, that Friday, and I just told him it's over. I didn't even explain anything, and he just turned around and he went to his friends. And then when he went to his friends, like 3 minutes later, I'm walking with Cutie Pie. I'm walking to my house, right? Oh yeah, by the way, we lived in the same neighborhood. And his friends are like, oh dude, that's the girl that broke your heart. Oh man, that's the girl that dumped you. That's the girl that got rid of you. And I'm like, I'm a DUTF though. Obviously me dumping you is actually less problems for you, because now you don't have to deal with me. And like, I felt like when he had said that he's dating a Barbie doll and dating me is doing me a favor. Honey, I didn't even ask you for that favor, you know? And then that same afternoon, I went to Mrs. Ironic's house with Cutie Pie, and then we were there with Mrs. Ironic, and I told Mrs. Ironic that I had just dumped him. And then she's like, okay, well, he's asking me out. Can I date him? Really? And you know what, guys? Let me tell you something. At that moment, I was so defeated. I was like, are you really asking me that? Like, that's my first love. I didn't say that to her. Instead of saying, no, you cannot date him, he's my first love, you know what I said? Yeah, whatever, date him. But deep down I was like, no, I don't want you to date him. He hurt me. Like, that's so hurtful. He called me a Barbie doll. Really? But of course I was the DUTF, and she, Mrs. Ironic, was this pretty girl who laughed at all of his jokes. And you know what else was not making sense is that, guys, the girl who was saying, can I date him, was the same girl who was calling him ugly. So I'm thinking that because she had said he's ugly, and she's not that, but she was like, he's ugly though, and I'm not that into him. So because I thought she had said that, so I thought that most probably she's not gonna do it. That's what I thought. And I'm her friend, so I thought she was my friend, and I thought she wouldn't do that. So okay, the weekend passes. It was a Friday, remember? The weekend passes. Monday morning, I get into the school. I was the school bus. And then Sunshine is like, did you hear the news? And I'm like, what news? Okay, so rumor has it that Mrs. Ironic and Pinhead are dating. Mrs. Ironic and Pinhead are dating? She's like, yeah. And in my brain, I'm like, this girl took me seriously? Isn't he ugly? And to be honest, I cried. Okay, I cried because genuinely I really thought my friend wouldn't do that to me, especially because she knows it was my first love, and she's had first loves and boyfriends before. She was never a DUTF. To go confront Mrs. Ironic about dating Pinhead, that I wasn't really comfortable with it, eh? And then when I told her, she's like, oh my gosh, why are you mad? Everyone now is making me look like this bad person, and like lastly, you're the one who said I could date him. Girl, that was my first love. I was being ironic. And then Mrs. Ironic is like, you know that I wasn't dating him because I like him. You know that I like someone else, and I was just dating him to like push the time so that I could have that somebody I really like. You know I find him ugly, and I was just dating him just in J. I don't even understand why you crying. Anyways, her point of saying that I told her she could date him, I don't know why was that her reason, because obviously I was lying at that point. I wasn't comfortable, and the mere fact that I came to confront her and tell her that I don't like it actually, and she's just gonna tell me like she's now being seen as this bad person, and not only is she's being seen as this like bad person, but she's painted as this bad person, but I told her she could do it. I didn't ask you to go out there and be a bad person. I'm not even saying you're a bad person for doing that, but I didn't ask you to go do that. I just said go do it. And honestly speaking, I don't know about you guys, but if someone hurts your friend like that, and then after that you're gonna go date them, like, and as the DUTF, I really took that in, you know, and because I felt like a DUTF at the time, dating became hard for me because I thought that everyone that wanted to date me was lying. I thought that everyone that liked me was lying, because the first person that had told me they liked me, they were lying. And to make matters worse, I didn't want them to lie. I didn't even expect them to lie to me. I knew what I was. I knew I was not the pretty girl. I knew where I fell. So for him to pretend like that, I found it very unnecessary. Secondly, I did not have the ideal body. I did not have the ideal hair. But anyways, whatever. I don't talk to these people anymore. I barely even see them. I thank God that I no longer see them. I don't have a problem with them with anything, but yeah, I feel like high school is really, like, high school things and teenage things are really messed up, and people are super mean. But yeah, don't let stuff like that bring you down, and don't carry things like that, because you know, I feel like because I carried the whole thing of like, when a guy says he likes me, he doesn't really like me. I carried it on to the wrong guys that actually did like me, and I was just like, no way. No way. Like, I'm a DUTF. Like, seriously, don't carry stuff like that throughout you. Get rid of them and you'll grow, and you'll meet people. As they say your vibe attracts your tribe. You'll meet your own tribe. There's no way that everyone in the world is going to be against you, or not against you, but not everyone in the world is going to see you as a DUTF. In the other side of the world, maybe being a DUTF is the coolest thing ever, you know? And, you know, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Story of my awkward life.